Welcome to my second channel. This is usually nerdy stuff and Q&As and things like that, so if you like that kind of thing, stay, subscribe. Today I'm going to be talking about my Prado. I've already done a run through on my main channel. This is going to be all the questions that I got asked on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm very active on there. A lot of behind the scenes stuff, so jump over there, it's just fire to fork. Now, I'm going to answer a handful of these because there are hundreds. Is there anything about the 80 you miss? Not really. Thicker panels and crap paint were quite good. I don't miss solid axles at all. Front locker would be quite good. That's from Sam Gammon. How's the front runner table held up? By Azza Calvin. Great. Fuel economy. I've answered this in the other video, but it's 10 by myself, 10 to 11, depending on how I drive it, but that's sort of 110 with something with like a swag on the roof and a dog in the car and basic camping gear. About 12 in the city and 14.8 towing the trailer on the highway at 102. That's from God Centered Car Guy. What I wish I spent more money on? Camp lights, I think, and maybe a dash cam. What lights are you going to use to replace the small LEDs? Maybe laser lamp, I think. I'm not sure about steadies, the quality, I'm still unsure. The Light Force is supposed to be the superior one, but you know. Anyway, yeah, maybe laser lamp because they're British made and they look very good. Ooh, that's a big tick. Best modification. That's nearly impossible to answer. Suspension for the GVM upgrade and the comfort. It's just such a comfortable car. But then the 12 volt, I don't know. Yeah, I can't give you a good answer there. What did you pay for the VX? I paid high 70s. They're a little bit more now. Retail's 87 with this color code and all the rest of it. Yeah, I paid high 70s. I didn't. That's no influencing or anything. That's just I went in and I said, "What's your best price?" How do you relearn to four-wheel drive going from solid axle to IFS? That's a really good question, actually. I couldn't drive the thing well for a good 2 months. I really struggled off-road. I didn't know how to drive it. And now I'm fine, but it's just all different. So that's actually a really good question. It's just, instead of going for the flexi line, now you go for the leany line, if that makes sense. So previously I would have put the car in a couple of different holes because the car would sit level then, as opposed to going up the side to go around them on a bank. Because the old solid axle would lean over and feel like it was going to tip, whereas if it flexed through things with the lockers, it was never an issue. So that just made the whole thing more stable. It was yeah, you drive it very differently. How much did my whole setup, 12 volt setup cost, and where would you recommend going in WA? From Callum Findlay. It's about 10 grand for the whole 12 volt setup. I got it all done at Klarman Automotive. They knocked it out of the park. I do not know anywhere that does as good a work as them in WA. Is Fred happy with it? Yeah, Fred loves it. He chills out and relaxes in the back seat and in the boot. It looks like it's small, but we had two 40-kilo dogs in there the other day. We didn't drive with them, but they both jumped in and they were fine. Fred can curl up in there and he's very safe and secure and he's very happy in there. What spares do I bring with you? A few electrical things, just in case like I blow a fuse or like electrical things tend to be the things that break off road the most, as in, you know, you'll pull a wire underneath from a, you know, branch or goes past your roof rack and rips a light off, or, you know, that kind of thing. Those tend to be the things that get hammered. So I bring a lot of electrical parts. I don't bring any engine spares except for a secondary fuel filter, just in case I pick up dodgy fuel. Now the car's getting a little bit older, I might chuck a couple of belts in there or something, but it's so new and it's been really reliable. But I always carry a scan tool so that I can reset codes and things like that, because I think that's really important with a modern car. I think everyone should have one if you're going remote. My best mate, Buckers. Is it faster off the line than a 1999 V8 Land Cruiser with 360,000 kilometres? You know damn well it's not, dickhead. What happened to the sale and why did you opt to keep it? I was never going to sell my car Always look at the date of a post on Instagram. It was the 1st of April. It was an April Fool's joke. Can you service it yourself easily enough? Basic oil for filter job? Yep, definitely. Davo 4-drive. All right, I'm just gonna answer one. What's the Prado insured for? I'm saying insurance value because I've said before, a lot of stuff was provided, or I get wholesale pricing because I work in the industry. So what I pay for something is not what it costs to get replaced. If I write my car off, I can't go back to all these companies and say, hey, I lost, I know it's only been 6 months, but can I just have another one for free? They're going to go, well, no, didn't you insure it? Like, you got to pay for it. So I have had to insure this car for full retail replacement value, including $87,000 for the car, which brings the grand total to $156,000. I could have bought another brand new GXL Prado with the amount of money I spent on mods. Well, would have to spend on mods to replace it. It's eye-watering. I want to be clear on a few things. Number one, I can't afford $156,000. I'm privileged enough to be able to work with companies on these kinds of things. I do R&D work, I do photos, I do video, exposure and that kind of thing. Very lucky in that sense. I am also lucky in that it's a tax deduction because this is my work. So that's extremely lucky. And I initially, at the stage of the channel when I bought it, I could afford the repayments, but I couldn't afford it outright, and I couldn't afford the repayments well. So I had a lot of support from my wife to help. She sort of believed in me. The book was coming out and all that kind of stuff. We took a risk and we bought an expensive car for the safety of our family and to make my job easier and better and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm not some rich bloke. I'm just in a lucky position where I can modify my car for not a lot of money. What do you think do you think the 80 litre Snowmaster is too big from Loopy Fruit 4? Tom, it is too big for that car. If there was, I'd love something the size of a Dometic 75 that's not a Dometic 75. That's what I'd love. Haven't had a great run with Dometics, and that's just a beast of a fridge. Chef Sam Clark, why haven't you changed that horrific grill? That's a good question. I hate that grill, and I'm probably going to get it wrapped or powder coated black. I don't mind the Lexus one. I think just a black one, it's pretty hidden. I don't want to go too over the top and make it look too ridiculous. Yeah, the Lexus 460 grills are pretty cool, but not worth it. Not the direction I want to go for me. Is the Bush Company awning worth the extra weight and roof and the price point? Brandon John, yes, yeah, 100%. I've gone from a normal awning to a Bush Company. I've noticed no difference in weight. The way the car handled or anything like that, it made no difference to me at all. And I love it every day. It's just performs so bloody well. How's the legroom with a rear-facing baby seat in the back seat? Not great. Bring the old beast back. You couldn't pay me to. Am I going to get it cowboy tuned? I'd love to know I'd love people to recommend a tuner for this thing. I don't know anyone who's really good for remapping the 2.8s, the new 2.8s. I'd love to know how much power you can get out of them. I know it's got a new turbo, new intercooler, new injectors, so it should, as in like compared to the previous model, it should perform really well. Apparently the turbos have a lot left in them. So you should be able to get quite a lot of extra grunt out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I change my mind every day on that. Do you wish you went with a Hilux and alloy canopy now you have the kid? No, I don't. Camper trailer's great. The camper trailer fixes all of that. There's bugger all in the car when we go on trips. I don't want for space in the car, but the comfort levels, general purpose, the like dust proofness, all that stuff. Having the fact that my boot is air conditioned is so important. It's been 45 for the last few days in Perth, or 43 to 45. I'd feel like, what do I do with Fred? Would I put him in a bloody canopy, or would I put him on the back seat next to the baby, which brings about that problem, all that kind of stuff. I've got 3 zones of air conditioning, so my boot is air conditioned. So I just put the air conditioner on Fred, so that not that he needs to be icy cold all the time, but it's nice to know that your dog's being looked after on those stinking hot days. Do I still reckon one over a 200 or 300? Yeah, I do. In fact, driving the 300 made it even more apparent. I drove a $151,000 300 series, and I was so underwhelmed. It was fine. It was, it's nicer than my car. It felt 20 grand nicer, not 70 grand nicer. So yeah, I just can't do it. I also think that stupid tailgate is a dumb idea. It's great for the city, of course. The electric tailgate, how good? Because you put your leg under it and it pops up when you've got your shopping in your hand. But for off-roading, it's pointless. Like, where do I put a spare wheel? Oh, I have to put it underneath. Oh, that's annoying. Well, I want to do a long-range tank. Where do I put it? So you can't put it on a back door like with a barn door. I can't put a table on it. I can't store anything in it. It doesn't act as a seat like a split folding. They should have stuck with a split folding. Honestly, you can have an electric split folding. That's fine. Do that. And I also think the fuel capacity is stupid. 110 litres is nowhere near enough. So in order to have enough fuel, you now need to pull the wheel out from underneath, put a long range tank in it. Now you have swingaways. They're so annoying to get into, and you've lost all of that convenience of you bloody putting your foot underneath. See what I mean? It's just a whole bunch of things that just doesn't work for off-roading for me as a configuration. How did things go with Toyota after your engine issues? Fine, no issues. They sorted it all out. It was just an ECU update. So if people don't know, I was getting this weird code, low oil pressure code. It wasn't actually, it was just a parameter issue with the original tune. It was a brand new car. It had just been released in the market. They hadn't sorted it out. They'd sorted it out within 3 months. There's no damage to the car. The car wasn't broken. I just couldn't use cruise control for a week. So, is it true you really wanted a Y62? You know what? I actually quite like Y62s. I do. I get it. They're well priced, they're big, they're powerful, they're fun, they're not even too bad on fuel. I get it. They're not quite for me. I think they're missing a few key features. Basically, like, the tech in them is pretty average. Like, no Apple CarPlay, radar cruise. Just like some of the stuff that's in Corolla. That was a real downside for me. I think the wood grain is ugly as sin, but that's easy to fix with a wrap. Other than that, I get it. I rate it. Have you driven a 200 series as a comparison? Which do you prefer? Yeah, of course the 200 drives better. 100%. It's got way more power. It's nice, and I love the seating position. It's a nice big car. Pain in the ass to park, but no, it's for touring. The 200 is a much nicer car to drive, without a shadow of a doubt. But you use a lot more fuel, and it's a lot more expensive, and it's a lot more expensive to modify. And if you want all the features like Apple CarPlay and radar cruise and all those things that come standard on these, you have to go for a Sahara, which is, anyway, back in when 200s were still available, it was gonna be 50 grand extra for me to get a 200, and that wasn't worth it for a few extra cylinders. How do you find the transmission with towing, temps, etc.? Fine, it's all good, it's great. I would like it to sit in 6th more. It sits in 5th a lot, but it locks up in 5th, still gets good fuel economy, and it still will, on a flat thing, towing the trailer, it'll definitely sit in 6th, but and empty, or like not towing, it'll always sit in 6th. Yeah, no, it's good transmission. The awning has some wear over the door. Does it rub on the door? Do you still love the awning? I didn't notice any wear over the door. No, it doesn't rub on the door. Turn your lights off, it's daytime. Fair call. I did that. I'll 100% admit I did that for the gram. I just think they look cool. Does the Prado without a trailer, this beefy stew, does the Prado without a trailer have enough space for remote travel or a couple or go a ute? It definitely has enough space. A ute is without a doubt easier to pack, but if you're just a couple, take your back seats out, plenty of space in there, plenty. Or leave them in and just put some stuff on there. You have to use your roof rack more than a ute, but you've got a big, remember, you've got a much bigger roof rack on these. I mean, if you have it on your canopy as well, sure, you've got a big roof rack on a ute, but there's a big, quite high load capacity roof rack up there that you can use, but you get so much more comfort, so much better to drive. For me, it's worth it. Yeah, and look, we've toured with 2 people and it was fantastic. No issues. Track and trail adventures, do you think they make a men's version? I don't think they do actually, no, unfortunately. Oh no, they did. They used to in the 90s, 80s and 90s. They made a solid axle 70 series one, yeah. Koalu, DPF, I assume you mean are there any DPF issues? No, not with this model. They're all sorted out. They fixed it. Don't know what they did, but doesn't have any DPF things. How does she tow? Would you recommend a Prado for a bigger caravan like a 16-foot? Let's explore, sleep, repeat. No, I wouldn't recommend it for a 16-foot. I think that's pushing it, and it's not that it can't do it. It's that I think 4 cylinders really struggle with that kind of stuff. I think something like a 200 or a Y62 would be much more appropriate. I don't think there are any real 4 cylinders out there that, in my mind, are any good for towing caravans. I would tow a 14-foot hybrid light, like the lightest one I could find. I'd tow that. But that's kind of it. If it's a very light 16 hybrid, maybe, but yeah, like, I know you can do it. Sarah Keelan Travels, they do it. I get it. You can, I don't know that it's the best for longevity. And they also use a fair bit of fuel when they're hooked up to something big. And thank you to everyone who asked me shopping trolley related questions and generally took the piss out of it. That makes my day. Genuinely, it's fun. All right, thanks for tuning into my second channel. If you like things like this, subscribe. If not, hit that like button twice. Cheers.